Show you how to build a gate that's racked, and also this gate will have a wheel. So first of all, you're going to need your gate up at right end. It looks like this. And then I take the inside to inside measurement of the space you're trying to build for the gate, and we're going to deduct 6 inches off of that, and that's going to give you your top and bottom metal. Okay, now if we have a wheel, then we're going to have to minus another 3 3/4 inch off one of the pieces. So as you can see, I've got 2 pieces here, and one of them is 3 3/4 inch shorter. That's for our wheel. So the first thing first is you're going to take your metal, doesn't matter which piece, you're going to slide it on to your end like that, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our self-tappers, and we're going to put 4 self-tappers, so make sure everything's tight here. We're going to screw in 4 of them right here. And this is on the inside. You can't screw these on the outside because the vinyl has got to go over the outside. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put the other one on. What I've done is I found this nice concrete pad that's got some lines that I've double checked, and they're all perfectly square. We're going to do a 4-inch rack down on the wheel side. So this is the wheel side, this is the other side of it. The wheel's going to hook right there, and I've measured it out 4.5 inches down from here is what we're going to do on the rack. So we've got to bend it past it so that we can get exactly the 4.5 where I marked it off of this line. So I went off this line, so there we are, we got our 4.5 there. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take this and line it up with that side. You can see we're about 4.5 off of there. And then on this side here, we've got to bend it at that angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rubber mallet, stand it upright, and I'm going to just hit that down until I've got the exact angle that I want. This one down to line up with this one. There we go, we good? Square. And then same thing here. I'm gonna have to bend this one so that we can angle. I'm gonna do that with a rubber mallet. I'll set this back down right where it's going to go in. I'd say just one more hit. Okay, now everything now is racked at a 4-inch angle.
Got everything ready and bent at that 4.5 inch rack. We're going to write that on here, and we're going to show that the wheel side is down. So I like to write right here, I'm just going to write 4.5 inch rack, and then wheel side down. I always put an arrow down so that I know that the wheel side's down, and then I know that that goes with this one because I've got the exact same thing written on this one. And this could be something really handy if you're building multiple gates, so you don't get it mixed up once you get one piece racked and ready to go to build your gate.
We have this nice table to set this on. We've got our rack gate on here. And what we need to do is cut the top and bottom rail. So because we've got this little angle, and we know when we slide that rail on, it's going to be, you know, it's going to come down. It's an 8-inch rail, so it's going to be on an angle probably about like that. So I'm probably only going to measure to there and have them cut it about a 1/2 inch short of the full length of the metal. So I'm gonna have them cut that at 80.5, and I think that's going to give us enough, plenty of room on the top rail and the bottom rail. Okay, so we've got our top rail cut and our bottom rail. The top rail obviously is the longer one because we've got the wheel, and the wheel's 3.5 less. So this is okay like that. You can actually have up to 3.5 inches off of here and it will still cover it up. So on our other side, we have this little jig that we've made. We've got to do a notch out for the wheel. So we just set this jig on here. And the measurement, I'll actually gonna show you the measurements on this so that you know how much to notch this out. And we'll take this out with the oscillating tool. So the actual measurements of this notch out, it looks like we're about 2 inches and 5/8 on that, and then we're about 4 inches. I'd say 4 1/8 because I'm going to put my saw blade on this side. Okay, now this is where you've got to take these 2 ribs out right here. Let me show you what we're going to do with those ribs. We're going to take them, because the rail's coming through here, we're going to bend that one in like that. You can just bend it all the way down and bend this one all the way down. Sometimes it makes sense to get a little piece that you can push in there. So it looks like that. Okay? And we're going to put this bottom rail on. So next step is we've got a bottom rail on, we got it notched, we're going to put all these panels in. So you need to make sure when you put your panels in that they're tight up against the other side. And we always put the female side against that end as we're going. We want the male side on this end. If your gate has a really big rack, sometimes you have to actually set them on and notch out the top and the bottom to get them to fit. But this gate, 4.5, it's not the biggest rack because it's a bigger gate. So now that we've made it all the way to the end, the next step is we take the one that we racked, if you remember this piece, and we're going to go ahead and put that end in. We're going to get our wheel end lined up here, and we're just going to slowly slide it in. So now that we've got that, we've got to pull this rail over, and we've got to push these panels that way, because on the wheel end we want this rail tight against this side. So I'm going to pull that, push this tight, make sure this side's tight, make sure your gate upright end here is in, and then we're going to get a measurement off of this. So we measured this, we're 3 3/8. I'm going to measure the bottom, 3 3/8. We're going to set our table saw to 3 3/8. I've already done that. I ripped this at 3 3/8. Now you have to understand, this end here has to be the male end. This end that you rip will be the female end. Okay, so now we're gonna just slide this out so we can get this piece that we got ripped. Put that in, run that tight. Okay, now once we get that in, we've got to pull this back tight again. and we're going to get these screws in on this end. I like to get at least one on this side first. I hold everything tight, get the one on this side, and then we're going to come up to this end. And I've made a little jig, and I'll show you this jig because you're probably going to want to make your measurements about the same. So the way this jig works is it measures off the end, and then it has these little holes in it. And we're going to use those little holes to mark exactly where we're going to put those screws. Okay? You're going to make your marks in there, where to put the screws. Let me show you the measurement on this. So if you have your own jig, you're going to wind up putting that first screw at 4, the second one you're about 5.5, and the third one about 7. Okay, I've already marked it out on here, so I'm going to go ahead and get those screws in. I'm going to push this in tight. Okay, we're going to get this really tight. Get your screw, and then we're going to put it. We're going to do 3 of those there. Then when we put the gate upright end on, we're going to put 1 on the inside. I'm going to show you real quick, because putting the screws on one thing, I'm going to show you the wheel, how the wheel goes on. So you've got your wheel. You'll have your little spacer that goes in there like that. And then the way I do it is we put a washer there, put that on, put a washer right there like that, and we're just going to screw this on right here. Now make sure you've got your 4 screws in the bottom, your 3 screws on that side. You'll put 1 screw there on this side and 1 screw on the top there. And you may want to make a jig on the top so it's in the same place every single time. Okay, so we have our gate upright ends. We have these routed on the router, and then you can rip out the middle section with the table saw. You're going to cut this one shorter than this one on the bottom, as you can see the way we've got those notched out on the bottom. And let me show you how to put these on. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this piece and you're going to open it up like that. You're going to put it on like that. We're going to pull it around, and then we're going to start to move it down like that into place. Okay, and then we've got to hold this top really good, and we're going to start to push this bottom in. So we're just going to slowly push that in, and that's that. Now I have actually made a jig for this as well, where I want the screws so they're not in the way of the hinges. And so we come down just below the rail and we put a screw and a screw there. So you have self-tapper there, self-tapper there. And then on the other side, it's exactly the same thing. We're going to wrap that around, slide it in, and then we'll just slowly push that on. Hold your top firm or it'll pop out. Sometimes I just kick the bottom in with my foot. And that's it. 2 self-tappers on the end. You're going to go ahead, you can cap this on the one with 3 screws over here. You're going to come on this one. We're going to come on the inside of this and put 1 more self-tapper, so that that gives you 4 on this end. Remember, you've got 4 on this end, and the other ones are inside. So that's it. That's how to build a gate, and also it's got the wheel and it's racked.